Welcome back to the Cyber Risk TV live stream for Octane 2024 at Caesars Forum in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Mandy Logan, and today I'm joined by Damon McDougald, who is the Global Cyber Protection Lead at Accenture. Today, we are going to talk about implementing identities securely in today's hybrid work era with Accenture. Damon, welcome.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you for the opportunity to share my experience.
I am so glad that you are here, and especially with looking at your background coming from such a deeply technical side of coding and of really understanding from back in the day to right now how identity really is security. So I'm curious, what makes identity, in your opinion, the cornerstone of cybersecurity?
So in my opinion, identity is the most critical security control that every organization must get right. If you get it right, it reduces risk, it accelerates the business and enables the organization, and it's cost effective. If you get it wrong, it gives the threat actors a beachhead to do bad things. And it's my mission at Accenture and Accenture Security to secure the world. So getting identity right is the most important thing. I've been doing identity and access management implementations and operations for over 20 years, and I've seen our industry evolve from where it was at 20 years ago to where it's at today, and our job's never over.
No, absolutely not. And with what you're saying, talking about identity, really then spearheading, like you said, if you get it right, it can almost be that silver bullet that allows your security and ability to integrate with vendors, consumers, the tech world, and all of infrastructure at large. It can be a relieving aspect of being able to get identity handled correctly. Now, what are some of the challenges that you zero in on and that have become commonplace because of the switch to a hybrid work environment?
There's been many challenges in our industry, and when we switched to a hybrid work environment, it created a scale issue. Before the hybrid work environment, most of the organization's employees were inside the firewall, in their organization, on campus, on premise. All of the data was on premise. So everything was contained in locations where everyone knew the data was at, where they needed to protect. As soon as we switched and flipped the script, data went everywhere, the cloud exploded, everyone was working from every location, and there was a big paradigm of VPN access remotely.
Correct.
And that didn't scale. And another challenge was a lot of the organization's identity and access management processes and tools were implemented in a time frame back in the late 2000s, mid 2000s. So it was a server client architecture. And today the server client is very dated, and data is flowing throughout your entire organization, flowing out through the internet, back and forth. And so the need to scale was immensely important. And organizations had a lot of legacy tech debt in their identity and access management stack and in their security stack that wouldn't meet those scale needs. So a lot of organizations, since the hybrid work environment was upon us, has spent a lot of effort and investment on modernizing their identity and access management capabilities.
But with doing so, is that also staying ahead of now with the rise of AI agents, the rise of bots taking over? Is what has been done in the last 5 or 6 years going to keep up with what's going on right now?
No, it's not. Like I said before, our job is never over. And this adds another set of scale, another area of concern. And from an identity and access management practitioner, we have one of the hardest jobs in all of IT and all security. So not only do we have to be highly proficient in the software that we implement, we have to know the business. We have to know how to integrate with all the other systems in an organization. And identity touches every part of an organization. Every organization has it, needs it, and it has to touch every part of the organization to do well.
But it's not just the organization in one way, it's because it's also going to the vendors, third parties. You have identity requirements to be monitoring that are completely outside your normal ecosphere.
Absolutely. You have an ecosystem, you have many different types of identities that make things a lot more complex. It's not as cut and dry if you're an employee or non-employee. And AI agents are coming. And AI agents are going to have goals and tasks. They're going to complete their work. And they're at a point in time right now where they're very single-threaded, but they're going to become smart and autonomous enough where they're going to be able to understand if I can't do my job or complete my goal doing the happy path, I'm going to figure out the path around it. And so,
Which is brilliant in its own way, but
Oh,
that
yeah.
is not acceptable for trying to maintain the correct security posture.
yeah. And if anyone hasn't played with AI agents yet, there's many AI agent frameworks out there that you can easily write some code or have ChatGPT or one of the LLMs kind of teach you how to write the code and you can deploy it really quickly. I did a very simple exercise where I created two AI agents. One was a procurement agent, one was a software sales agent. I gave them parameters. I said, procurement agent, you want to buy for this amount of price, $500. Software agent, you want to sell for $1,000. But if the procurement comes back and says we can only do so much, you can descope your modules. And I let them go at each other, and they would round robin talk to each other. I told them they can talk with each other five or six times. They figured out how to negotiate with each other or walk away, just with a simple set of text instructions. Right there, that demonstrates just power of how they can complete their task. And how that applies towards the future is that we're going to use AI agents to build software. We're going to use AI agents to run infrastructure. We're going to have AI agents to run organizations. All of those AI agents are going to need identity. They're going to need access. They're going to need to be enforced access. As I said, they'll be creative and figure out how to get around it, just like humans do. When we can't finish our job, we figure out how to get around it. So there need to be scoped with their access rights, and it can't be static. It's going to have to be just in time. It's going to have to be strong authentication. It's going to have to be strong authorization. And organizations, at least from my experience at Accenture, they're going to have to continue to uplift their identity and access management capabilities to meet the realities that are coming.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm curious from Accenture's viewpoint, what have you seen as far as being able to enhance a seamless user experience while on the backside we have really a need for fine-grained provisioning for all of those millions and billions of agents?
Identity, if done right, drives a great user experience. You shouldn't know it's there. It's a fine line between keeping a customer or losing a customer. And most of everyone's interactions, whether on the consumer side or the employee side, is an identity interaction. So think about when you sign up for a digital service. You register, then you authenticate. Right there are two identity and access management things that you do right away. From an employee, day one when you get in, you get a badge. Then you get a laptop or a computer or work desk. Right there, you are provisioned that access in the background. And most organizations today give the very basics. So if I'm an employee, I join a new organization, I will get 5% of the access I need. Then I have to go talk to my manager and figure out what's the process to go submit all these requests for access. And that's where organizations have struggled, because there's some of our organizations that we've seen, they have thousands of forms that are managing requests for access. They have non-human text language to be able to, for someone to select what access they need. And so a lot of times when someone submits a request for access, they don't exactly know what they need, and they submit the wrong access and it gets rejected. And so that creates a very bad experience. You've got an employee that came in, they're excited to do their job, and now they have to sit around and wait around. That degrades morale, but then it also is a cost to the organization as well.
That was going to be my next question. Like, in your viewpoint, what percentage of downtime or lost efficiency comes from that particular thing because in the hybrid work environment, there's additional steps to making sure that the identity and access are correct?
Yeah. In the past, when we were all in the same office, I can get out of my desk, walk over to my manager's office or one of my work buddies and say, hey, how do I do this? Today, we're all over the place. So you got to schedule a call, you got to schedule a meeting, or you got to find some time with someone, and it's a little slower. So from an identity perspective, the thing that we can focus on the most is providing the right access right away to provide that seamless user experience.
So switching from the user, I would like to switch to some information that came from Accenture's Pulse of Change survey. And it found that 8% of executives are concerned about deepfake attacks. Only 8%. Does that seem reasonable to you?
No, it doesn't. In Accenture, our own research, the dark web, we've seen a 234% increase in the past year of deepfake attacks. And for any of you out there that have been looking at deepfakes or seen AI-generated videos, a few years ago it was kind of funny. You would see some of the videos out there, and you all can Google them, But there's certain videos out there that the hands are crazy.
Exactly, I was thinking.
There's a Will Smith eating spaghetti video, and it's really crazy. And the models are so powerful now that when you look at generated video that's coming out now, it's very hard to discern reality from fiction. And it's even going to get better. So our ability to detect via our eyes is gonna fail us pretty soon. And so deepfakes is the next wave of attacks that are coming that are going to be easy to do. It's cheap to do. There's readily available software out there. There's instructions. It's not hard to figure out how to create a deepfake video. And we've seen organizations impacted already on deepfake attacks. And so what's really important, and we worked with Accenture Song and Accenture Security. We collaborated together and we created a training called First Aid that's publicly available as of a few weeks ago. And what we want to do is we're making it mandatory for all Accenture, almost 800,000 employees at Accenture, to take. We are sharing it with all of our clients and customers, and it's also for public use. And it shares a few things. It shares educating on what are deepfakes. If you know what it is, then you kind of understand what to look for. It shares what to do if you're impacted by a deepfake, and it shares some of the training around it. So organizations should educate, they should have processes in place, and they should have tabletop exercises. So if it happens, what to do, how to react to it.
Right.
Like if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail.
Exceedingly true. Where we would prefer as security professionals to always be more of the Eagle Scout version of being prepared.
It happens, but sometimes we're moving so fast and there's so many shiny objects from a security professional and an organization standpoint. Sometimes it's hard to keep that focus. But we believe that that this is important. It's coming. There's software that's being created to detect deepfakes, which is it's going to be hugely helpful for organizations.
Well, on that, will you, before we began recording, you were mentioning some other things that you have definite strong feelings about in the impact that the rise of generative AI agents will have, not only in the hybrid work environment, but primarily in all work being done for all corporations globally. Will you go back and share more on your viewpoints for what is coming?
Yeah, what I've shared before is kind of just a window, is that these organizations will use AI agents to do the everyday job that humans would do. Marketing, sales, operations, even software development. AI agents, they're getting very proficient now, and they're going to continue to evolve. And I can see organizations moving to using a lot of AI agents to run their business. And right now, there's no regulation against AI agents themselves, but I can foresee that there could be regulatory requirements that organizations will have to manage the access and show how their AI agents receive or got their access and how they're enforcing those accesses and those policies. And so back to the important point of having a modern identity tool that can scale to those realities and has capabilities to handle AI agents is so important. So all the identity practitioners listening right now, that is something that we should all skill up on. AI agents, generative AI, those are skills that are necessary for us to be able to keep the world safe and secure.
Beautiful. Damon, I really want to thank you for joining us today. And for all of us who are tuning in to this live interview, please go to securityweekly.com/Octane. You can make sure to receive all cyber risk TV coverage from this year's event.